Good morning, everyone. I just got a message that it's having a problem streaming to Facebook. I'm going to try and fix that here. While I'm doing that, I'll go ahead and give you a look at the table, see if I can get it fixed. You know, it's always something. I'm going to try and get this fixed. Hmm. Oh, geez. I don't think I'm going to be able to fix it. I really wish these things didn't happen right as, I was getting ready to go live. But, what can you do? It's technology. Everything looked good when I started, and then bam, the warning popped up and said it's not streaming to Facebook. So if anybody is in the Facebook group, if you could go and make a post, give them the YouTube link to come and watch it, I would appreciate it. So I see a lot of people are joining me this morning. We got Vicki, we got Holly, we got Annette and Sue. Thank you all for joining me. Again, I'm sorry about the Facebook thing, but it just popped up and I really can't do anything about it right now. So yes, there is a giveaway for this demo at the end. If you type in #garden, just like it's showing in the bottom left-hand side of the screen, you will be entered into the drawing for a $20 gift card to embroiderygarden.com. Only enter once, just type it in one time. If you type it in more than once, it doesn't increase your chances. The program actually kicks it out. So just get it in there one time and we will pick a winner at the end of the demo. So a couple of things that I want to mention as we get started here, some things upcoming. On Monday, the 28th, we have Caroline. A lot of you know Caroline. She is the one who's been doing, the clothesline bowl classes through Embroidery Garden and some other classes. She has a new holiday trivet. That class is coming up on Monday, so it's going to close sometime late tonight so we can get ready for it. So if you're interested in that class, and I'm going to grab the link right here. It's called the Holiday Trivet. It's part in the hoop and part in the hoop and part sewing. So if you're interested in that class, there's the link. Sign up for it. On September 14th, I'm going to be hosting the Everyday Lace virtual event. It's a free event through Dime, and they're going to talk all about lace. Freestanding lace, like my flower here. A lot of you don't know how to do freestanding lace. You'll learn how to do it. You'll be inspired by some beautiful projects and things that the presenter Ain will show you. You'll also be able to download this free bookmark design. It's 4x4, so everybody can use it. You can see it's 2 colors. It's really cute. And if you're not familiar with freestanding lace, it's going to give you an idea of how to stitch it. So I'm going to grab the link for that and put it in the comments. And again, if anybody is in my Facebook group, if they could, post in the group that for whatever reason, it decided not to post to Facebook, just let me know. All right, so there's the link to the free virtual event on the 14th of September. Another thing going on, the last thing, this morning, actually, I just uploaded a new file to Embroidery Garden. If you've been following me, you know that I've created a few of these little hangings, small hangings. This one just went up today. On Embroidery Garden's Facebook page, I have a little contest going. Someone's going to be picked, a random winner tomorrow, sometime probably in the later afternoon, to win the file. So go ahead and enter. If you purchase it and you win, I'll just give you a refund. So there's no issue about that. So go and check that out. This one does have, if you can see, faux mitered corners. These are done completely in the hoop. And on this hanging, which this is the first time I've done this, in place of batting, I used Sew Any Shape foam. And I really love the way that it hangs. I love the structure that it has. And we're going to be talking about Sew Any Shape foam. And the other supplies that I'm going to talk about today too, you're able to get them through embroiderygarden.com. I've got a new category up on the website. It's called software. We're going to talk a little bit about some software and supplies. I think supplies has been up there, but if you click on it, you're going to see a whole lot more supplies available through Embroidery Garden. Sue, you're watching through YouTube right now. So if you're trying to look at Facebook, yeah, it won't go for whatever reason. It's not going to stream to Facebook. Everything was set up. It looked like everything was good this morning. As soon as I hit go live, it pops up a warning saying it's not going to do it. So I don't know. It's just something that happens. So, all right. So what are we going to talk about today? It's my In the Hoop pencil cases set. I'm going to actually stitch one out for you. This set came out in 2012. Originally in 2012. So that was like 11 years ago. If you purchase this anytime, from the time it came out till, just recently here, you can log back into your account, re-download the file, and you will get all the new revamped files, and I'm going to talk about that, and the new files where you can stitch out the design using fabric for the front. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. I'm going to switch over to my table. And here are the original samples from 2012. And here are the new samples using the vinyl on the front. And then here are the samples that use fabric on the front. So back in 2012, there were the three sizes. We have a 5x7, a 6x10, and an 8x12. These three sizes are still included in the set. What I did was I basically took the files, I revamped them a little bit. The vinyl ones still stitch basically the same, but my instructions, my pictures are better because back then, I think I did things differently. So now the photos are bigger than the instructions. The instructions are probably a little more detailed, etc. Another thing I want you to notice about the vinyl ones is, and let's take this one as an example, because these are both the 6x10 size. On the original, if you can kind of look closely here, you kind of see a ridge. Now, this happens a lot when you use vinyl on a design, you turn it to the right side, and it's because the vinyl is thicker than the fabric, and it just naturally creates that little ridge. Well, on the new ones, I don't have that little ridge along the edge. And one thing I did differently with these when I stitched them out is the fabric that is behind here that shows through the clear vinyl, I ironed SF 101 onto this piece of fabric. This is in the instructions. I recommend that you do that. And now if you look at that edge where it was turned, I don't see that little ridge there. So, I'm going to say ironing the SF 101 onto the backside really helped that. Another thing that I did differently in the vinyl ones, and I'm going to take out these supplies I put in here just so that both the samples I show you are the same. I don't have anything in this 6x10 size, so I'm going to take out those samples. On this one, I used Sew Any Shape foam. So in place of the batting, the Sew Any Shape foam is down here, it's up here, and it's on the back side. So if you look at the original that has batting in it, and it was probably warm and natural that I used back then, you can see the difference in the structure. This is the Sew Any Shape foam. I can hold it and it stands upright. The one with the batting, it just kind of flops over. I've been using this Sew Any Shape foam. I started sometime last year, and I love the stuff. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more. I'm going to be using the foam today. But today, I'm going to stitch one of the ones that has the fabric front on it. Phil says Sew Any Shape foam is great. It certainly is. And it's something you can now get through embroiderygarden.com. And I've got a link right here. I'll go ahead and put this up. Links to everything too that I'm talking about are going to be at the bottom of this video on YouTube. They'll be down in the description. So let's talk about now the ones with the fabric fronts. Now these are stitched differently than these, the ones with the vinyl on the front. And again, you got all three sizes, 8x12, your 6x10, and your 5x7. On the 5x7, the piece that shows through the vinyl is HTV glitter from Siser. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because I'm going to be using a couple of what I call specialty fabrics. Now, in the instructions, I do say I've used some specialty fabrics in my samples. How to use these specialty fabrics, they're not in the instructions because there's so many different variations that you can do, that's why I'm doing this demo for you. So let's look at the ones now that have fabric on the front. You can see that they're quilted. It makes it look kind of like a pencil line. At the top here, I used a Siser pink StripFlock. And what's so cool, if you don't know what StripFlock is, it's got sort of a fuzzy little feel to it. And it's wonderful. And I thought it would make such a great eraser. And I see that Tracy's asking a question. Yes, I have this set is available at embroiderygarn.com. It's an In the Hoop set. And again, I'm getting the link here. Let me put it up here. You get the 3 sizes in there, and you get instructions and files for the vinyl front ones and for the fabric front ones. You see some more questions coming through. The difference between Sew Any Shape Foam and Soft and Stable by Annie. I have used both, and I will say I prefer Sew Any Shape Foam. And the reason is, Eileen Roche, founder of Dime, she created this product specifically for machine embroidery. And, it's a little bit of a difference. It's not fusible. I don't like fusible. I don't know if you've ever used it, but every time I've tried using fusible foam, no matter what happens, no matter how well it's adhered down, it's going to, when I turn something, I get a bunch of wrinkles in it that I cannot get out. And since it's made for machine embroidery, you can see it embroiders beautifully. This one has Sew Any Shape Foam in it. All of these actually have Sew Any Shape Foam in them. Again, the 3 sizes, 5x7, 6x10, and 8x12. This one uses Siser yellow. I believe it's called lemon. I'm not exactly sure. HTV vinyl. That's what this is. And I'm going to show you how to use it. Down here, now this is sort of a hack. This is a piece of, it's just a soft vinyl. And you can see on the original, this is fabric here. So you notice you don't have that little ridgy line there. I'm going to be demoing this today so you can see how you can get that. I also embellished all of these, personalized them, and we're going to be talking about personalization. Hi, Joanne. Thanks for joining me. Great to see you here today. Heard about those storms in your area, and I'm glad that you are okay. So I did personalize this one. This one is actually for one of my daughter-in-laws who is a first grade teacher. I used a micro font. And again, if you have been following me, I've done a demo before on a micro font. You can also get this at embroiderygarden.com. Let me go ahead and put the link up here. So this is a micro font, and I put it going horizontally here. I just thought it looked sort of like a pencil, how pencils have writing going down the side. I personalized this one for grandson. It's 5x7. This one is all fabric here and here, and on the back, I did do the vinyl down here. I just thought that looked so cute with that little kind of scallop there. This one, I've got glitter on the back and the front StripFlock and foam in it. So you can see, how nice and sturdy this is. It makes a really nice case. And those of you that are thinking, oh, if I use foam in place of batting, it's going to be so hard to turn. No, it's actually another thing about the Sony shaped foam that I like, that things aren't really, really hard to turn. A lot of you are going to ask about the little keychain hanging off of here. This is a kit that came from Plaid Bow Company, and it's one of the new, like they call them beadable keychains. You unscrew this little knob at the bottom, slip the beads on, screw it back on, and it's done. And it's just so cute. This one says coffee, teach, repeat. Niece, I do not carry the StripFlock. You can get Siser StripFlock, you can get Siser glitter, you can get Siser, regular vinyl, easy weed vinyl. You can get all that. Michaels carries it now. So that's readily available. The things like that I'm going to talk about that are the, let's see, the micro fonts, the Sony shaped foam that's inside of all of these, and cut and stitch software. You can all get now at embroiderygarden.com. This one, I used HTV to embellish it after it was all finished. And I created this, it's an SVG file. I created it in cut and stitch software. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to show you this really quick. Let me bring up, whoops, let me share my screen here. All right, so this is cut and stitch software, and I did two different files. This one is the one that I just showed you on the bag, and this one is another one that I did, but I put the name on the edge. I just sort of took the name, rotated it 90 degrees, so it's on the left-hand side. And I wanted you to be able to see a letter that is wide and has, extra legs on it. An L, it's a pretty straight column. These were so easy to create in basically just a few clicks of the mouse. And let me get back here. So it's very easy to create. The software, cut and stitch software, can do so much more than just create SVG files. You can do rhinestone designs. You can do knockouts. You can do applique. You can turn your files into stitches if you want. And you can get it off of embroiderygarden.com. One thing that I want to tell you about the software now that's available at Embroidery Garden, it is downloadable. So as with any downloadable software, you need a key, a serial number, etc., to activate it. Now, Embroidery Garden's got new technology. It's not new technology, it's new to Embroidery Garden technology, where you're going to get that serial number that you need when you purchase any of the software immediately. As soon as you check out, your serial number is going to be right there on your order page. You're also going to get an email with the serial number in it. But the good thing is that serial number will stay in your order history on my website. So you don't have to hang on to that email. You don't have to write that number down in case you need it later on. You can always just come back to the website, look at your order, and get that serial number. So I'm really happy about that. I think that's just like a great new addition to my website. And I will tell you, again, everything I'm talking about is on sale at Embroidery Garden. And the cut and stitch software, the micro fonts, they're probably the best price you're going to find them at anywhere right now. So someone is asking about the font I use for Laura. It's called Carolina Script. It came from Creative Fabrica. And then this is just, like basically a block font in my software. So I just combined those two. Someone I thought asked about this. This again is the micro font. This was a micro font too. The one I'm going to do today is going to be personalized like this. And this actually has, let me count them, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 with the space in there. The one I'm going to do today has 14 letters in it. Ginger, you purchased the Garden Flower Lace collection previously. This kind of starts now. It starts now. So those serial numbers are going to be in anything you purchase in the future. It doesn't go backwards. And Sue, yes, Cut and Stitch is a standalone software. You can use it for any, machine. And it does work on a Mac. It works on a Mac or Windows. So I hope that answers your question. And if you go to embroiderygarden.com, if you look under software on the main top menu, you can use that drop-down menu and find it. All right, so one more I wanted to show you. So many samples. So this one is it's the same size as this one. This is a clear printed vinyl. Let me just kind of show you this. Put my hand in there so you can see. This is a clear printed vinyl from Plaid Bow Company. They have a ton of different, themes, etc. It's very easy to work with. On this one, I use the clear vinyl here. I got a couple of samples here I can show you so you can see that it is the clear vinyl. And I also used, I'm going to call this a glitter canvas, but it's very pliable. See, it's kind of soft. I can't remember exactly where I got this, but I used it for the area up here on the back side. Down here, this is just, again, another piece of soft vinyl. On this one, there is fabric down here. This is just pink fabric showing through the vinyl. Michelle, who owns Plaid Bow Company, she posted one on my Facebook group that she used on the backside and that showed through. So she only had one layer here. She used what they call a jelly vinyl, and it's translucent. And so she used one piece of coordinating matching piece. I have some, but mine is not coordinating. I didn't have the right color. So that's why I chose to use the fabric. It also has the Sew Any Shape foam in it. And this one, I just put on one of my key fobs that I made. I did a YouTube video, one of my demos on this, very easy to do. So you can go back and look that up. So these are my samples, and that's everything new. Oh, one thing I have to tell you again, let me get rid of all of this, is in the instructions, and you might want to write this down if you have it, in the instructions, there is a typo. It's on page 2. It's under supplies needed for the fabric cases for the 6x10 size. That's this one. This, the lining piece, piece A, needs to be cut 7 inches wide by 10 inches high. Okay, 7 inches wide, 10 inches high. There's a typo saying that it's 8 inches high. It needs to be 10 inches high. I'm trying to get it fixed and re-uploaded, but it has to be uploaded in a certain way. And the problem is the person that has to do this has had surgery. So I'm waiting, to have it uploaded. So just kind of remember 6x10 fabric, and I'll go over that again, needs to be cut 10 inches high. Ginger? No. Okay, was it harder than just doing fabric? Yes, of course it was. But as you can see, it turned out beautifully. So it's not as hard as you think it is, but it's going to be, of course, more difficult than if you used a fabric for everything. And thanks, Joanne. And some of you that are going maybe to HQF this year might see this, take on this video again. So keep that in mind. All right, so let's look at the things that we need to make the case. And basically, I'm making this one here. The only thing that I'm making today, the difference is I'm using fabric for the back side because I made so many samples, I ran out of the vinyl. Bernadette, you're looking at the wrong piece. Again, it is piece A, and I'll go over that again, but remember, I'll just go over that again. So the things we need a zipper. This is going to be just a little tab I'm going to add on to the side. Here are my pieces. Here's my vinyl that I'm going to use. Sew Any Shape foam, kind of get a look at it right here, like the thickness of it. This is the piece I'm going to be using for that, I'll call it pencil tip. And there's my StripFlock and my other pieces. So I just have hooped a piece of, it's just the cutaway stabilizer, you know, that no-show mesh type. And of course, I'm going to use my hoop and press pad. Everyone wants to be sure to use a hoop and press pad when you're doing any in the hoop designs. So I've gone ahead, I've stitched step one. It's just the placement lines for the zipper. We need to know where to put our zipper. So let's get our zipper put in. And let me get arranged here a little bit and get some things out of my way. All right, so the zipper needs to go right side up. I put the pullover on the left-hand side, and I'm going to tape this down. I need to turn my hoops sideways here. It's just easier for me to reach it. Make sure when you do this too, the pull, the metal, you have it out of the hoop. I personally like to use zipper by the yard. You don't have to. You can use, you know, a regular zipper. Just make sure that you get it straight. I'm going to tape it down. My zipper's a little bit long, doesn't matter. Now, step number 2 is going to come along and it's going to stitch close to the edge of the zipper on both sides. This will keep it in place so that we don't have to worry about it moving on us. I'm going to go ahead and get it on the machine and let that start stitching. I don't actually know the thickness of the Sew Any Shape foam. It could be on my website. I don't know. Personally, I feel it is just a bit thinner than other foam that I have used. How do you get the sale and how long does it last? If you're talking about the sale on the pencil cases, it is on sale right now. And it's going to be until Tuesday night. Where do I find the narrow tape flow? I use, let me just get this off the machine and get back to the table. I use this tape. I get it from Amazon. It's 3M transport tape. It's 1 inch wide. Let me find the end of it here. This tape is just wonderful. I love using it. Perforated. I tear off a piece. I don't need it to be that wide. So then I tear it into strips and use it. You can, to find the exact tape that I use, you can go to Embroidery Garden's Amazon page and it's on there. It's probably way down at the bottom because I've been using it for so long. I'm going to be taking the tape off because I don't need it anymore because it's stitched down. All right, so here comes hoop and press pad, and the hoop and press pad helps you when you're doing in the hoop designs. I'll talk about them a little bit later. They are available in a 5x7, 6x10, 8x8, 8x12 size. They are available in 3 sizes for Bernina machines and available in 3 sizes for multi-needle machines. So you take your hoop, turn it upside down over the hoop and press pad. And now you're able to press down on your stabilizer without having it shift or become loosened in the hoop. We're going to be pressing in the hoop. So this is going to provide support. We're going to be trimming. It's going to help with that. We're going to be doing several things that these are going to help with. And either or says they are a game changer. And that's what everyone who is purchasing them is telling me. Let's see. Peggy Sue wants to know, what is the name of the tape? It's Transpore Medical Tape by 3M. Again, go to my Amazon page and you can get a direct link to exactly what I'm using. All right, so this is the piece, the very first piece where there was the typo in the instructions. It is piece A of the 6x10 size. This is on page 2 of the instructions under supplies needed for the fabric cases. It should be cut 7 inches wide by 10 inches high. The instructions have it cut at 8 inches. That was a typo. And again, I'm trying to get that uploaded and fixed. So we're going to take this lining and I put it right side down, one long edge, even with this bottom placement line of the zipper. So I get it in place. I'm going to take my tape. And since I have the hoop and press pad underneath here, I can press down really hard to get my tape adhered. You know, it really doesn't matter the tape that you use. Whatever tape you use, you have to be able to press it down so that it adheres. No tape is going to stick if you don't adhere it well, and that's what the hoop and press pad helps you do. So now that we've done that, our next step is to come to the front side of the hoop, and it's time to put our piece of Siser HTV glitter down. So to use this, you do need to take off the carrier sheet. Okay, so I cut the piece according to what the instructions say, and you tear off the carrier sheet. You can keep it for other things if you want, get rid of it, whatever you want to do. Also on this, I ironed a piece of SF 101 to the back side. You need something. You can't just use this, you know, without something on it. It's just, you know, it's not that thick. It's a piece of vinyl. So that's why I ironed the SF 101 onto the back side. And I even left it a little longer down here so you can see that it's on there. Just fuse it onto the back. You can do it with the heat press. You can do it with your iron. Doesn't matter. But now I'm going to take one of the short edges of this, place it right side down, even up with the bottom edge of the zipper. Okay, I want to get this centered and I'm going to tape this down. The next step is going to stitch these two pieces on, that lining piece and this piece. So it's going to stitch right here. Go back over to the machine. Thank you, Joanne, for that nice compliment. And we're going to get it put on the machine. You can see my piece there. Got a camera right here in between. It's a little hard, but this step is stitching down the that vinyl and the other one. If you're wondering what needle I'm using, just using a regular 7511 needle. And let's see, I'm just kind of going through some questions here. And I see someone said something about dollar store. You're not getting this tape that I use at the dollar store. This tape that I'm using, you know, it's different. So just be aware of that. I'm going to take the tape off because I don't need it here. And now I'm going to put down a piece of the Sew Any Shape foam. Here it is. And, you know, one little trick that I like to do with it, because, you know, it's a little slippery and, you know, this is a little slippery too, a little bit. So I think I brought it over here. I like to use a glue stick. This is just a water soluble kids glue stick. It's not going to hurt your fabric. It's not going to hurt your machine. I just like to put a little line of it, you know, just a little bit on the stabilizer to hold it in place, because I want to make sure that this straight edge up here is even with that stitched line and that it stays in place. And that's why I do it. We're going to take this, pull it down, make sure that it, you pull it down nice and evenly. Let's see. Oh, here it is. I'm going to use this clover roller just to, you know, kind of crease that a little bit, because it is vinyl. It's not, you know, fabric. And what I like to do down here at the bottom, I'm gonna move this up a little bit so you can see, I'm a pinner. I like to pin. Since this is a little bit thicker, I want to make sure that it stays down, and maybe some tape is not gonna really hold this in place like I want to. So I'm just using a couple of pins in here. The next step is going to, let me see here. It's going to stitch a line down here, which is just going to hold this all in place. And later on, we're going to use that line to line up the pencil tip. So let's go ahead and get it back on the machine. My lining fabric, you see, is still folded up on the back side. And that's just a line there at the bottom. Melissa, no, the pads are wool. And let's see, we got Isaac, our grandson, who is 3, is watching from home. Hi, Isaac. Hope to see you later on today. All right, so that's done stitching. Let's get back over here to the table. I just wanted to show you something. Let's see, I see a question come in and I'm trying, will you be able to see this again later? Yes, you will. Marianne, you can always watch it here on Embroidery Garden's YouTube channel. Again, I don't know why it did not stream to Facebook. I had it set up and it, I don't know, it just didn't work. Gremlins. I see another question come in. Did you place the foam on top of the stitch line holding the zipper? I placed it right up next to it. So stitch this piece on first. The foam was placed on that stitch line, then this was brought down over it. Okay, so now my next step is going to do the quilting lines in here. That doesn't take very long to do. Let's go back over to the machine, get that done. This whole thing has a time on it of 9 minutes to stitch, and that's with the personalization that I'm going to be doing on it. Like I said, this name that I'm putting on here is going to be about 14 spaces long. And Marilyn is saying hi to Isaac. He's going to appreciate that, Marilyn. Okay, you have a Foth embroidery machine with Premier Plus software. Would you digitize micro fonts for the software as well? Okay, so these micro fonts that I'm talking about, and let me put that link up there again. So these micro fonts, they are dime micro fonts. I've used them before. I did a demo. I'm doing a recipe towel, and I showed these micro fonts. It's a standalone program. They work in Dime's free embroidery tool shed. So all you do is just activate them with that serial number that you get when you purchase them from Embroidery Garden, and you're ready to go. And you can save whatever you create using those micro fonts in any format and machine embroidery format that you want. The great thing about these micro fonts, the software, is that you have the ability to size them any size you want them to be. They give you a recommended height to stay within, but you can use them, however you want. And I think there are like 11 styles of fonts in there that were specifically digitized to be small. We're talking like 1/4 inch to, maybe 0.4 inches high. So they were digitized specifically to be used at those small sizes. Dell, is that quilting part of the file? Yes, it is. At the beginning, you may not have been here, but the original set of pencil cases I did came out in 2012, and they had vinyl fronts, clear vinyl fronts. Those are still in the set. and I added files to use fabric on the front. And so I added the quilting stitches. If you purchased it in the past, you can log into your account, re-download it, and you're going to have the files. And let's see, I'm trying to, okay, here's a good question. Darlene is asking, do you have to raise the foot when using the foam versus batting? Right now, I just have one piece of foam in there. Let me grab, I have a little piece of it here. This is kind of like how thick it is. You know, it's not very thick and it's very, I'll say squishy. Right now, I have not raised my foot. Later on, when I go to add, you know, more fabric, this last piece of batting that'll go in, we're going to talk about raising the foot. And I probably will raise my foot just because, you know, whatever happens when you're doing something live, it's going to happen then. So just to make sure, and I'll talk about how you would know if you need to raise your foot. And Caroline, hi. She says it does not list the thickness on the package, but she says it's about 3 millimeters thick. And what size thread do you use for micro fonts? I'll talk about that. Right now, we are going to start stitching the name. So let me head over to the machine to give you a look at it. Right here along this edge, just like my sample I showed, is going to stitch the name that I created in the software, with the micro font software. And I'm going to change my thread because I want it to show up. So I'm going to use it's really a dark charcoal that I'm using. Now I can change my needle to a smaller needle if I want. It's best if you do change your needle to a 70-10. I'm just not taking the time to do that today. Hopefully it's going to be okay. Dime does have fine line thread, which is a lighter weight thread that you can use. You can also get that through embroiderygarden.com. Just go to the website, click on supplies at the top. Use the drop down menu and you will get the fine line thread. That's what I used when I did my recipe towel. That was a demo back, I believe, in May that you could find on YouTube. All right, so Joanne says that she loves having adjustable foot height and changes hers often. We probably have the same machine we're working on. I'm working on a Brother Luminaire 3. Very easy to change the foot height. It's something that you have to do, you know, in the settings. And looking to see if there are any other questions coming through. Let's see. So while this is stitching, and this part is going to take the longest to stitch because it's some lettering, let's go back to the table and we'll talk about hoop and press pads again. So hoop and press pads, let me grab the packages that I have here. This is the bundle for multi-needle machines. You have a 5x7, an 8x8, and an 8x12. Again, you get these all at embroiderygarden.com and they are on sale. This is the 5x7, 6x10, 8x8, and 8x12 bundle. And for you Bernina users, we have the 3-pack, which you can see the sizes there, 145, 255, 210, 400, 265, 165. So these are all on sale at embroiderygarden.com. Oh, and one thing that I did not tell you about that I wanted to mention at the very beginning, I've already decided what I'm going to do for my September demo. I'm going to go back to the trusted old zipper bag set, and I'm going to show you how to use vinyl on the bags. So this is a vinyl. I got this from Plaid Bow Company. It's above the zipper, below the zipper, and on the back side. I did not use foam in this one. I could have. I lined the bag. You don't have to line the bags when you use vinyl because, you know, it doesn't fray, but I'm kind of old school. things have to be lined, or I just don't think they're, professionally done. But next month, the demo will be all about using vinyl in my bag designs. So follow Embroidery Yarn's Facebook page so know that I'm going to show you how to do that. There was a question, would be nice if the micro fonts also include the slash character. Etta, if you watch my demo, you'll see how I did the slash, because I had to do, I think it was either half a cup or half a teaspoon in there. Go back and watch that demo and you can see that. All right, so here is the lettering. I've got some jumps I have to cut in there. The name is Mrs. Davidshofer. So that's grandson number one's teacher's name. This is going to be for her. I'll take the time to clip the jumps later on. But see how nice it's stitched? Very legible. And this was, I want to say, I'd have to go back and look, but I would say this is probably 0.28 is what I think I use as a height on this, because the name was so long. So that's what I did for that. Okay, so now we need to do the pencil tip. And you notice on my sample here, it's got that little scallopy edge. I used vinyl. I'm going to use vinyl today on this sample, but I want to show you this one that has the fabric that's in the instructions. It'll tell you to do, with a piece of fabric. These things, again, that I'm showing you, these specialty fabrics I'm using, this is why I'm doing the demo. These instructions are not included. So when you go to add this piece on, basically, when you're doing it in fabric like this, here's that line that's stitched down here. It's probably a little bit hard to see, but it's a straight line. You line it up, it stitches, and then you fold it down. And that's how you do the fabric. I thought it'd be so cute to do the scallop to make it kind of look like a pencil down there. So how did I do that? I just took the piece, cut it the exact same size the instructions say, and I have one of these scalloped blades for my rotary cutter. I'm not taking the time to get a ruler out, but I would use a ruler, make sure I got it straight, and that's all I did. And isn't that just cute? I thought it was just adorable. Let's get rid of this. Now, how do you line it up? Because we're certainly not going to put it right side down and fold it down, because we lose all of our scallops. So when it does stitch it on, if you use fabric, it's basically going to make a 1/4 inch seam. So from the line down here up, that's where it's going to stitch at a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to take one of my rulers. I'm going to put it on the 1/4 inch mark on that line. And off to the side on the edges, I'm just going to draw something. I would use a friction pin, but that's certainly not going to draw on this glitter. So now I'm going to lay it down, and I know that's where my stitch line is going to be. So this has to be up higher than the stitch line, right? So that it's going to stitch here. So let me get everything kind of straightened out. See exactly where I want it to go, a little bit higher, like I said. I'm going to tape it down because I don't want that to shift any. But before we actually stitch it, we're going to check it with our machine. So let me just get it taped down, and let's go over to the machine. Put this on. And now my needle is exactly, where it's going to stitch. Make sure my zipper doesn't get caught in the machine here. So if I put my foot down, I can see exactly where it's going to stitch. Right now, where it's placed, I think it's a little far down. So I'm going to untape the edge here, lift my foot up, get this side untaped. And now I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and drop it down. Put my foot down again, and I like that placement better. I know that it's going to stitch basically maybe 1/8 of an inch underneath those scallops. So let's go ahead and let it go. The most important thing is that you want to make sure your piece is going straight across. All right, that looks great to me. All right. So that's how I do it. I'm not stitching it down and flipping it over anything. So let's continue on. Whoops, I knocked over something underneath my table. I know, Joanne, how did we create without rotary cutters? And now you can get the fancy little blades for them. I just thought that that was just too cute. So I wanted to pass that little tip on to you. It's something you can do. Do you have to do it? No. Do you have to use glitter? No. Let me hold this up so you can kind of see. I used a dark thread. Maybe if I turn it, you can kind of see the line there. So it's stitched just right there underneath it. That moves just a tiny, tiny bit. All right, so the next step, we need to use the hoop and press pad again because we're going to go to the back side of the hoop. Put this on the hoop and press pad. And I see a question. How do you get to my Amazon shop? If you go to embroiderygarden.com, along the top menu bar, it says affiliates. Click on that, and then down in there are links to a lot of different things, and one of them is my Amazon shop. Okay, so now I'm going to take the tape off of this lining piece because I don't need it. If I can get it off. And this piece now will get folded down, and this is where I'm going to iron. I'm going to press it down. One of the big reasons why I invented the hoop and press pads is because when you went to the back side of the hoop and you had to fold a fabric over, you know, basically people just fold it over. They put some tape here. But if you kind of notice, there's a bit of a bubble up here along this fold. So what the hoop and press pad does is it provides support so that when you go to press with an iron, now you have a nice flat seam. It's nice and crisp. I am going to tape it down here though at the bottom just to make sure it doesn't move on me. And now while we're still on the back side, we need to place, let's see, our next piece, which is going to be the lining above the zipper. We turn it this way. This would go right side down with one long edge, even with that placement line that you can see there. I'm going to tape it in place. Again, with that hoop and press pad under there, I have the ability to press down hard to make sure my tape really sticks. And now we're going to go to the front side. Now this is where I decided to use Siser StripFlock. Again, this is a heat transfer product. If you want to know things all about vinyl and, you know, the StripFlock and how to use all these different products, etc. My friend Stephanie, who is craft coordinator for Siser, has a Facebook group, and I just put it link to it. It's called So Stephanie Says Crafty Group. Join her group. You can learn all about these heat transfer vinyls, adhesive vinyls, etc. All those type of things. She does videos and can answer any question that you have. But this StripFlock, I've got it in the pink because I thought it looks so much like an eraser. It has the carrier sheet that has to come off. Always make sure to take it off. And then this one kind of has like, you know, this is the adhesive. It's not sticky or anything, but, you know, it's shiny here. I did not put SF 101 on the backside of this like I did on this vinyl because it's got a little bit of thickness to it, you know, so I felt that it did not need it. So this is going to go right side down, and the edge is going to go even with the top edge of the zipper. Got that little thread there. And I'm going to tape it down. Because this backside here, this is slippery. Let me make sure that I have it lined up. And I'm just taping it down. Again, I have that lining piece on the backside. We're going to head back over to the machine, and it's going to stitch it on right here. So I keep my zipper out of the way. Make sure everything's in line, and it's going to stitch that on. Check to see if there's any questions. Is the glitter from Michaels? Mine didn't actually come from Michaels, but you can get it there. It is Siser glitter, S-I-S-E-R. All right, let's come back to the table. Get rid of the tape I have on here. And if you notice, I'm saving these little pieces of tape. I'm sticking them over here on my other table so that I can reuse them. I am going to put a piece of foam up here at the top. And again, you know, it's slippery. Okay, so I am going to use my little glue stick. Again, this stuff is water soluble. It's a kid's glue stick. It doesn't hurt your fabric. It doesn't hurt your machine. And I'm just going to put a little bit right there along that seam line, maybe a little bit there, because I want this sew-in shape foam to stay in place. And just like the question earlier was, where am I placing this? I'm placing the edge against that seam that just stitched. So I'm just going to line it up. I'm going to press it down into my little glue stick that I put there. Now I'm going to fold this up, and I'm going to pin. You guys want to tape, you can tape. I just happen to be a pinner. And the next step is going to stitch a line here that's going to hold this piece in place. Again, you don't have to use, you know, StripFlock or any of these specialty fabrics I'm using. You can always use fabric, but look how cute it's looking already. We got this little bit of fuzz up here for your eraser. We got this glitter here. We got some just soft vinyl down here. Again, that next step is going to stitch a line right there. I do need to change my thread. Let me do that real quickly, because I don't want to use black as that line. I want a pink. So I've got my pink thread right here. And then while it's stitching, I'm going to kind of give you another idea of what you can do with the pencil cases. A different, I don't know what I want to call it, you know, something different to stitch it out in to give you a totally different look here. So my machine threaded, I got it threaded, and let's go and just get that line stitched in there at the top. And while that's stitching, let's come to the front. And so my friend Stephanie from So Stephanie Says, join her Facebook group, gave me the idea of, you know, instead of using the yellow, the pink, the black, why not make it look like a colored pencil? And I thought that was a really great idea. And how I would do it is I would try and pick a zipper and fabric at the top here, and this piece and the back piece, and probably a fabric that was maybe a tone on tone, something that did not have a lot of pattern to it, but all matching. And you could still use, you know, you could use glitter for all three of those pieces if you wanted to, this glitter vinyl. And then for the tip, maybe pick a dark shade of whatever color you used. And I think it would look almost just like a colored pencil. So I thought that was a really cute idea. So it's something, you know, a little bit different. Take the design and then just stitch it out a different way, and you're going to get a totally different look. So we're going to go back to the table. And first, let's see, there's a couple of questions. Right. Joanne is right. 7511 is the smallest size. It was recommended for the auto threader. You notice on the one that I just stitched, and let me bring it over here to the table. This lettering, I didn't change my needle. Now, most of the time I do. Today, I didn't. It's kind of taking a little bit of a chance. Maria, how do you change your foot? For the Viking, if you raise the foot, it beeps. Mine is in the settings. I'll try to show you that in just a second here. Well, let me just try to show you right now. I am going to have to move my camera a little bit here. So mine, to change my, let's see, I got to undo the camera here. So mine, it's this little piece of paper up here, and down here it says embroidery foot height. This is default, and I would just click it and, bump it up. I'm going to go ahead and do that because my next steps are to add more of the foam to the machine, to the design. So let me get my camera put back into the position that it was. Let's see, hopefully I'm pretty close to it. But let's get back to the design now. So you just have to kind of, if you don't know how to do it, you'll just have to, read your manual or ask your dealer. We need to go to the back side of the hoop. So I'm grabbing my hoop and press pads. And remember, everything I'm talking about, hoop and press pads, sew any shape foam, cut and stitch software, the micro fonts, all of this you can get through embroiderygarn.com, and everything is on sale. And like I said earlier, it's probably at the best price you're going to see it at. So now on the back side, I'm going to take this piece, fold it up, and of course, I want to press it with my iron. Gets it nice and flat. And I'm going to tape it up in place. And Maria, what is Siser? It's Siser, and it's a company that makes heat transfer vinyl, StripFlock, permanent vinyl, very large company. The vinyl is now being sold at Michael's, but you can also get it through, one of your local dealers that carries Siser products. Okay, now that I folded this up, I pressed it. So now my folds are laying perfectly flat. It's time to take my little scissors, and I have to turn my hoop because it's easier for me. I'm going to cut out this little strip of stabilizer that's behind the zipper. This is so that we have access into our little bag when it's done. And you notice that when I'm doing this, let me get this other side going here. Get my hand out of the way. But when I have it started, I can take my scissors and just run them right along that fold. I'm not, clip, clip, clip. It's just take them and slide them against that fold to get this little piece out so that we have access into the bag. If you could do this at a later point, but I'm telling you, when the bag is all done, if you wanted to do it then, it's going to be very hard to dig down inside of the bag and get this piece out. All right, so now I'm going to go to the front side. And at this point, it's time to unzip the zipper halfway. Let's see. Is iron temperature concerned with all the vinyl? The Siser will tell you what temperatures you need for vinyl. It's basically around 305. Can you iron this? Yes, of course you can iron it when you're done. This little piece of vinyl here, remember, this is not fabric. This is like, vinyl, a faux leather, etc. You don't want to put the iron on here. Can you put the iron on this? Yes. People use HTV on shirts, etc. And it can be ironed. So I got my zipper unzipped halfway. The next step is to put the piece that we're using for the back side. Well, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a little tab here by the zipper in case I want to, add a keychain or just something onto it. And all I did was cut another little piece of vinyl, the same vinyl that I used down here. I think on a couple of my samples, I used a little piece of cork, anything that's basically non-fraying. Fold it in half. And what I like to do is, let me grab a small piece of tape, very small, because when I bring these short ends together, I like to put a little tiny piece of tape there, because sometimes if I don't, and when I get done with it, these things are kind of skewed and I don't like that look. So I make sure to tape those little edges together. It's going to go with the cut ends facing the outside of the hoop. The loop faces towards the inside. I'm going to center it right over the zipper. And you can see this line up here. The cut ends are going to be about 1/2 inch past that. Let me get some more tape so that I can tape these cut ends down. And my next step now is to put the fabric that's going to be the back of the case on. And again, I'm using fabric on the back of this one because I ran out of the glitter. A lot of the cases, I used the glitter vinyl on both sides. So fabric would go right side down on the back side. Here's my next piece of foam. Going to go down, and then we're going to have a seam stitch over here that's going to attach these fabrics. Barbara, is it like marine vinyl? If you're talking about the piece that I put down here for the pencil tip, yeah, but it's not, I don't think it's as stiff. When you're doing things like this and you're using these specialty materials, like the glitter, the foam, faux leather, etc. You want to be very careful about, the products that you choose. You want to make sure everything is very soft and pliable, because if you look at the design, we know that when this is done, it's going to be stitching the pencil tip down here. And when we're done, where our tip is of our pencil, we want that to push out really nicely. So kind of make some choices there. What color thread am I using, Maria? Well, I did change my thread when I did the name. I went to a black. When I stitched this line, I went to a pink. Now I'm going back to my yellow that I had been using, because I'm going to, this is the construction of it. These are the steps, these last 2 steps. There's only this step and one more that are going to put this case together. So I want to use yellow because that is basically the predominant color in this design. So right now I'm changing my thread on my machine. And we're going to go back over to the machine now. Everything on the back side looks great. Get this in place. I moved my fabric, so just center that on the hoop, get my foam in here. And remember, I did raise my foot up a little bit, just one click. If you notice, and this is where you would notice it, because we have this foam here, and remember there's foam on the underside of our yellow glitter. If you see your foot kind of dragging and making an indent or something, you should probably raise your foot up. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't on my machine, but I did today just so, you guys know that that's an option, and probably the majority of you should take that option. So I'm going to take this off. We're going to go back to the table. We're almost done with it. Oh, somebody was asking about the iron that I use. Okay, this is just, it is a Cricut iron, but the only reason I'm using it is because it's small. Normally, I would get up from my sewing area here and I would go over and use my large regular iron. I can't do that here. I'm sort of, in a small area, and more than likely I would burn myself if I did. So the last step is to go to the backside of the hoop. So again, I got my hoop and press pad, turning this over on top of the pad. And the last step is to take my last piece of fabric, center it down over the hoop, and we're going to stitch the last step. So I am going to tape this, excuse me, tape this down. Make sure it's nice and flat. My hoop and press pad is underneath there, so I can really press down on that tape. Go to the front side, but what I am going to do is I'm going to pin, because remember I told you I'm a pinner. And I know that how it's going to stitch. Let me get these pins in. I know that it's going to be coming down here and making the tip of the pencil. Whoops. I put the pin here. I know it's going to be coming down and making the tip of the pencil. So I know there's not going to be any sewing in these two corners. I need to lift this up so I can get a good angle on it to put the pin in. And the reason I like to do this is because I don't want any kind of shifting, or as this is stitching around, you do want to watch it because you don't want the foam to kind of, do a pucker or anything. So I'm going to take these pins out that I had put up here at the top and reuse them now. And pin this back down, get everything nice and flat and straight. And I will be watching as this stitches, because I certainly don't want to hit one of my pins, but I believe they're going to be pretty much out of the stitch area. All right, the last step is going to stitch around in the pencil shape, leaving an opening. The back side, here's my fabric, nice and flat, nice and tight. And let's go over to the machine. And this is the last step. And again, I do like to watch because it's a little thick in there. Not bad though, because to me, the foam is not that thick. I have stitched other things where the foam, using different brands of foam where it's thicker. If you wanted to slow your machine down, you could. Let's see, there's a question here. Marcia, why did it not stitch all around? It's only tacking down the fabric and the foam on this side here, but it stitches around, it leaves that open. That creates my opening to where I'm going to be turning it. Teresa's also a pinner. Yeah, I love to pin. And see that since I have pinned, let me try to move my camera a little bit so you can maybe see this. I got my camera out of whack because I showed you how to raise the foot up. But you can see it's doing, extremely well. I'm not getting any kind of puckering because I pinned. I love pinning. Joanne's a pinning person. Yeah. Sometimes tape, when you're using some of this, bulkier material, tape is not going to hold something for you. Let's go back to the table. All right, so now I'm going to take these pins out. And we're getting ready to trim. You can take it out of the hoop for this, next step, or leave it in there. I'm just going to leave it in. What I'm going to do is I want to trim this foam away. And if you use batting, you do the same thing with your batting. You want to trim it close to that stitching all the way around. And make sure I only have the foam. And what this does is it gets bulk out of the seam, out of the two corners, out of the point, and out of the top corners. We want our corners to all push out nicely. And I'm going to show you my samples again because I want you to see how nicely I pushed all my corners and points out. Even with these thicker materials, you might have to work at it a little bit more, but it's important that you get these things pushed out nicely so that your finished product looks as nice as it can. All right, so I got that done. And you know what? I'm going to save these pieces because sometimes, a strip like this could be used above a zipper or something. So I like to keep those pieces. And another tip you may not know, this foam, you can cut it on your Scan and Cut if you need to. All right, so now I am going to take it out of the hoop. Like I said, sometimes you might find it a little bit easier to trim, this foam or batting while it was still in the hoop. So now I'm going to turn it to the back side. Here's my opening right here. I want to leave the fabric longer at the opening. So I like to cut on either side of it so I remember. Now on your trimming around, a lot of times I will not cut through the end of the zipper because it makes it, your zipper is a little bit stronger. If you cut it short, sometimes, it could start pulling out on the side, it just depends. So this one, I'll go ahead and I'll leave it longer. And when I say longer, I'm only talking about maybe 1/2 of an inch longer. That's all it needs to be. And then you'd have to move this out of the way so you could get the materials underneath the zipper. So everything's getting cut 1/4 inch from the stitching, except I'm leaving those tails a little bit longer. Sometimes I like to take a lighter and just sort of melt those edges. I'm not going to take the time to do it on the other side. But again, I'm just trimming 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And right now let me get some of this out of the way. Come down here to the point. It's not really a point either, like a sharp point. It's kind of curved. A sharp point, it's really not going to work in that area because with all your bulk there. All right, so I've trimmed it around about 1/4 inch from the stitching. This material here, I'm going to cut it about 1 inch long. Remember, you're going to have something to turn in to hide your opening. But I only need the 2 lining pieces that make that opening. So all this back here is bulk. We don't need it. I'm going to trim it to 1/4 inch. And what's important now too is to go back and at these top rounded corners is to clip into your corners. This helps to relax that foam, relax the fabric, relax the StripFlock piece I have up there, everything. Even if you want to notch it out, see where I made a little notch? All that is going to make your corners turn out nicer. So you're going to be able to poke them out better. These corners down here, I'm just going to kind of clip them off. And the point at the bottom, I'm going to do the same thing. Where I'm going to clip into that little point, I'll call it, which actually is not a point, but more of a rounded piece. Just don't get too close. I think on one of my samples, I even actually went here and just made little cuts about every 1/2 inch, just because I'm using thicker materials. And I want to make sure that everything, pushes out nicely. All right, so I'm going to say that's done. And now it's time to turn it. So again, like I said at the beginning, it's going to be a little bit harder to turn because I've got thicker materials in it. But even with my sample, remember, I had vinyl on the back side of this one. This one is going to end up with fabric on the back side. So I'm just going to reach in and I'm going to go down to that bottom point and just kind of cup everything in and then start getting it out through the opening. I think I say this in just about every demo I do where I'm turning something. This is probably the most awkward thing to do on camera. And then let's see, I want to get in and I want to get this top part out. And with that foam in there, see, we've got 2 actual layers of foam and it's not hard to turn at all. Let me just kind of get this going here. I'm going to push out what I can with my fingers as much as I can. Now this step is important because you want your finished case to look nice. You want these points coming out nicely. So I'm going to get everything I can, these bottom corners pushed out as well as I can with my hand. Get that bottom tip poked out as well as I can. Kind of flatten it down. I'm going to use my tool. I'm going to go in there now and I'm going to really work at my corners. I'm going to run this tool along that seam line inside there. You can even see this corner. See how nice that corner is? And this is foam in there. So, the foam isn't really affecting, anything like this. Look at that corner, how nice that one is. I'm going to get this bottom one pushed out. Remember, it's not a point. It's kind of a rounded area here. This corner, it's sort of a corner where it angles down. Get that poked out. Get it poked out over here. Now at this point, what I like to do is press. And we just kind of work it with my hand here a little bit. Because I want the side seams to be on the side where they belong. I'm just going to start to press a little bit. Now, if you're doing the vinyl cases, remember, just don't touch the vinyl with your iron. And again, I normally use my big iron for these things. I feel it presses things better. You want to fold in the opening, your lining at the opening. And I would either use fusible tape or I would hand stitch it. Just make sure that it looks nice. I'm not really going to take the time to do that today, but I'll kind of press it down a little bit. Hopefully it'll hold it just for now for this demo. I'm going to finish opening up my bag all the way, and I'm going to reach back down inside. Remember, this would be closed here. And let me get my hand in here and I started pushing that pencil tip down inside the bag. I think with the vinyl, it makes it a little bit easier. And when I say vinyl, that's that Siser vinyl, and it's also the vinyl that I used down there at that tip. Like I said, this is probably the most awkward thing to do when you're on camera. I am going to have to, turn this one back inside out again because it's going to be for my grandson's teacher. So I'm going to want to have to close that opening up. But I do want you guys to see it, done here. So again, using my hands to push out all the points that I can. Come up here at the top, get these corners pushed out. Again, I would use my tool because I want to make sure that these are pushed out nicely. You take your time here to push them out. I'm going to get this side seam. See how I use the tool to get that side seam out. Take time to get your corners out down here, this point down here, and the one over here, and use it again coming up this side. I would give it a press again. But basically, that's the case. So I would press it again. If you're going to press this StripFlock, I like to put something over top just to kind of protect it a little bit. But basically, it's done. Now, remember, you can press directly on that. I'm not pressing this because that is my faux leather. But my big iron would do a better job than this small iron. But another thing I want to show you that I do, and I did it with all of the cases here, even with these vinyl ones, you just have to use like a doubled up press cloth. But what I like to use, both of these look, this is my finished sample, and this is the one I just did. It looks pretty good, but I can get this one better. And what I like to use, and I use this on all my bags, is Dime's totally tubular pressing station. It comes with a skinnier board here at the top. You can get wool pads for it, but this is how I use it. I turn it up on its end, and I'm going to use this board here. And let me get my bag unzipped. And I go through my purses and I put them over the top here. This is the top seam between the eraser and the back of the bag. I would put a press cloth up here and then take the iron and press it. And I press it here as much as I can. Then I scoot it over as far as I can and I press it again. Have you ever had a bag when you were done with it and it kind of looked like it had like dog ears where it made like a U shape? If you, use something like this and do what I just showed you, putting it on here and then pressing it, it's going to look so much better. Then I take it and I turn the bag, the other way. And then I can press the sides. So basically this would hang off of my ironing station so that, the board would stay up here where I need it to be. But I'd use a pressing cloth again and press this seam out and do it on the other side too. Just kind of turn this over this way. And again, I have to hold it up because normally it would hang off the table there. And I would press this seam. And what it does is it gets your seams nice and flat. After that was done, then I would take it and do one final pressing where, I press everything again, one more time, nice and flat. But it keeps the seams. If you see this one, trying to give you a little bit of a perspective here, but it really makes a difference in your finished bag to do something like that. So I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope that you got some tips from it. And I hope that you, try some of these specialty fabrics and materials that I used. Of course, you can just use all fabric if you want. You don't have to use, the specialty things or the foam, but it just makes a difference. And, I think it makes a really, really nice product. So I'm going to look to see if there are any questions. Let's see, either or says she never thought of turning the ironing tool around, always learn something. Well, I am so happy that you do. Remember, let's get #garden in because I'm going to be picking the winner here for the $20 gift card to embroiderygarden.com in just a moment. It has to be just like it is in the bottom left of the screen that says #garden. Renee loves the materials I used. I do too. That it just really adds something and it's different. I bet you nobody else's teacher is going to have a glitter case with some fuzzy eraser material and little scallops on it. Nobody else is going to have one. I'm just kind of concerned. My daughter-in-law takes them to her school that all the other teachers are going to want one. And Sharon says, what a fun way to have so many choices using other type of fabrics and vinyl. And you're very welcome for this demo, Sharon. And a couple more, and then I'm going to pick the winner. And Dell is so glad she found me through Plaid Bow Company. I am too. Remember to follow Embroidery Garden's Facebook page. I'll give you a little heads up here. I'm about to hit a milestone in my business, and there's going to be some giveaways happening probably early next week. So go to Embroidery Garden's Facebook page and let me grab that link because it's the page, not the group. I do have a group that's, very active, but let me just get the Facebook page listed up here. So go there, follow that. That's where you're going to get a lot of notifications of, what I'm doing. And darn it, this demo would have streamed to it, but I don't know what happened. It just really upsets me that happened. All right, so I'm going to pick the winner. Let me bring it up because everyone's going to see it live. Share the screen. Going to get let me find it here. Here it is. All right, so we got 154 entries in. I'm going to click draw. It's automatically going to choose one of you. When it chooses, whoever it chooses, just contact me and I will get the $20 gift card into your account, create an account for you if you need it. And the winner is Connie. So Connie, if you are still watching, make sure that you contact me to claim that $20 gift card. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to Embroidery Garden and Gardens YouTube channel. Everyone, go out, have a great day. Thanks again.